Chapter 81 Gu Gan versus his designated wife Ji Yuehuang. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Left Dao Realm, a desolate world. This place is located on the edge of the Left Dao Realm. The fog of the void space is still very thick, which can isolate other creatures from detection. In this battle, both parties knew that there would be no third party to witness this battle alive. I recognize your strength, but your cultivation is not as good as mine. Even if you get a small opportunity during this period, you may not be my opponent. Ji Yuehuang said calmly. Her words were very proud, but it seemed as if it should be said. Gu Gan also recognized Ji Yuehuang's strength. I admit that it must be quite difficult to defeat you with my own strength. But the final result will be beyond your expectations. The war broke out instantly. Ji Yuehuang was the terrifying magical field that changed the world, turning this world into a raging sea. The flame is an ordinary fairy, but it is Ji Yuehuang's natal fairy, Death God Flame. This is the companion of Ji Yuehuang's Death God Phoenix body. At the beginning, it was a phoenix fairy. In these 10,000 years, it has reached the third growth cycle. In an instant, Gu Gan felt the pressure of this decisive battle. Ashamed to be the empress, it is really extraordinary. Gu Gan's eyes were full of excitement without fear. This was his first battle since he came to this world. The first battle was against Wang Tingchuan, the waste, and there was no pressure at all, and now, Gu Gan faced Ji Yuehuang, and the pressure instantly exploded. Although Ji Yuehuang is a lucky girl, she is a powerful NPC that all lucky children will encounter, unparalleled in the world, looking down on all living beings, dominating the world. If Gu Gan was AM, he would definitely be conquered instantly, willing to kneel down under Ji Yuehuang's skirt and become a pet, but as a gangster boss, the more powerful the woman, the more he wants to conquer. He likes such a woman to show a big contrast in bed. As a cultivator, except for pure physical cultivation and sword cultivation, it is basically impossible to fight in close combat. Like the traditional martial arts of Yan Huang, it is completely useless. No matter how superb your martial arts are, no matter how all your hands and feet hit your body, you will be the one who hurts. The more powerful the creature, the more he likes the bombing of magical powers. Gu Gan understands that Ji Yuehuang's cultivation is higher than his, and her magical secrets are definitely not comparable to a half-baked person like himself who has traveled through time. Bullying the younger generation is fine, but if you are facing an opponent who can suppress you in all aspects, whether it is the casting speed, the control of the battle situation, or the amount of immortal energy in the body, it is definitely better than Ji Yuehuang. So Gu Gan raised his hand, and the black sword pattern totem on his wrist released the extremely terrifying killing desire, cutting off all the death flames. Ji Yuehuang's beautiful eyes stared at the abyss demon sword. She knew that this should be Gu Gan's confidence. Otherwise, even if the two sides have the same cultivation, Gu Gan may be her opponent, not to mention that one of them has only been born in the 7th level of the Emperor realm, and the other has been promoted to the ancient fairy realm. The strength of the abyss demon sword is linked to the Yanyuan energy in Gu Gan's body. And now Gu Gan has upgraded his physique to the Ganyang Emperor body, which also makes the strength of the abyss demon sword go up a few levels. Zheng, that the murderous black sword energy was rampant. Even if the death god flame with the death factor was cut, it would be difficult to recover in a short time under the continuous influence of the killing origin. However, the main body of the death god flame was in Ji Yuehuang's body. Now all the death god flames in the world are split flames, just like the sword light of the inner sword cultivator. As long as the energy is sufficient, the sword light can be split unlimitedly. Is this your confidence? It really makes me feel the threat of death. But as a user, I hope you don't let me down. In an instant, this world was engulfed by flames and sword light, and the sound of space breaking rumbled. The two different material factors of red and black intertwined densely and soon completely destroyed this world. Even the continent was deeply affected, the mountains were destroyed, everything was annihilated, as if it was a world-destroying disaster. Gu Gan and Ji Yuehuang fought each other across the sky and earth, and the battle was extremely intense. Abrupt, Ji Yuehuang smiled unpredictably, and a red lotus appeared between her eyebrows, floating slowly, as if she had no entity, ignoring the killing sword light, blooming thousands of strange waves, sweeping towards Gu Gan. Karma Red Lotus. Karma Red Lotus and Merit Golden Lotus. purifying White Lotus, and destroying Black Lotus are the 4 great divine lotuses, all of which have amazing rule power. Although Huangfu Shiyun obtained the destroying Black Lotus when Sandaozu and Zuodaiji were bordering, it was also one of the 4 great divine lotuses, but it was only the 3rd grade. For creatures of Gu Gan and Ji Yuehuang's level, it was not enough to be afraid of, but Ji Yuehuang's Karma Red Lotus has been cultivated to the peak of the 8th grade, devouring the amazing karma of countless lives. For the demon cultivators, the Karma Red Lotus is more terrifying than the pure White Lotus. The pure White Lotus will purify all the filthy and evil things in the world. The Karma Red Lotus will ignite the karma of the living beings themselves, burning the living beings into ashes bit by bit, and completely dissipating between heaven and earth. Of course, if there is no karma on the body, even the 10th grade Karma Red Lotus cannot cause any harm, but Gu Gan, as a gangster boss on earth, did all kinds of bad things, and crossed over, directly and indirectly killing countless lives, especially that time in the ancient battlefield. In order to make the Chaos Green Lotus mature, many creatures died in it, and all these karmas were imposed on Gu Gan. The most important thing is that Gu Gan also killed his own son. Karma is also divided into levels, and the karma generated by killing blood relatives is enough to kill. Ji Yuehuang hoped that because Gu Gan killed some people, he would be burned to death by the Karma Red Lotus. After all, any creature that grows to the Life Emperor realm has clean blood on his hands, but Gu Gan is different. He killed his own son, and this serious violation of ethics will produce karma that is enough to pose a fatal threat to Gu Gan. The judgment of the Karma Red Lotus attacks from the cause and effect level, so even the Abyss Demon Sword can only sigh in despair when facing the karma burning towards Gu Gan. But is Gu Gan afraid? How could he be afraid? A person who is upright is afraid of a crooked shadow. Gu Gan is his own son, so why should he be afraid? Come on. Gu Gan closed his eyes, and the will in his sea of consciousness became 3-dimensional. Facing the raging red lotus of karma, he could hide away, and once he was contaminated, it would spread like a star, setting the prairie ablaze. Instead of fleeing passively, it would be better to take the initiative. To be continued. Chapter 82. The perverted Ji Yuehuang is impossible to kill. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Among the 4 divine lotuses, only the world-destroying Black Lotus has physical attacks. As for Karma Fire Red Lotus, if you take advantage of it, it will be a good opportunity. As long as you have a clear conscience, Karma Fire Red Lotus can only eliminate your karma, which is actually a good thing. Only those beings who feel guilty in their hearts will suffer and even be burned to ashes. Look at this scene. Ji Yuehuang's beautiful eyes narrowed slightly. This is different from what she imagined. Gu Qian had gone through a killing trip, but he dared to face the Karma Red Lotus. Could it be that what Gu Gan said before was true, and Gu Gan's death was very strange? The burning pain of Karma Red Lotus is extremely painful, but not fatal. It is like the so-called bone scraping to heal wounds, but it will be distracting during the battle. Ji Yuehuang did not take this opportunity to attack Gu Gan. She wanted to see why Gu Gan dared to face the fierce power of Karma Fire. The Abyss Demonic Sword is suspended above Gu Gan's head, guarding Gu Gan in the form of a sword pill. Gu Gan crossed his legs and closed his eyes, his face gradually becoming distorted in pain. The pain of being burned by karmic fire is 100 times more painful than what ancient people imagined. Gu Gan's soul almost collapsed. Not only that, but voices kept asking Gu Gan, "Why did you kill me? Don't you regret it?" That was the resentment of the people killed by Gu Gan, or it could also be called the inner demon. However, the inner demon has not yet taken shape, and under the blessing of the rules of Karma Fire Red Lotus, it has been magnified many times. If you are a person with a weak Taoist heart, you may directly breed inner demons, or the inner demons may be amplified. It can range from sinking into depravity, or it can lead to death. A figure also appeared around Gu Gan. They were all people who died directly or indirectly at the hands of Gu Gan. Among them, there are people on earth who died because of themselves after traveling through time. "Why do you want to kill me?" A young man shouted hoarsely. His throat was cut open, and blood was still flowing. Gu Gan recognized him. He was the first person he killed when he was on Earth. This person is the village chief, or, commonly known as the village bully. He used to be himself when he was a child, and he even coveted his own charming mother. Finally, when the moon was dark and the wind was high, he drank and broke into his house. He wanted to do evil to his mother, but he cut his throat with a kitchen knife. Although Gu Gan was still young, he knew that the world was dangerous. Although it was self-defense, he would definitely be sent to prison for murder by the village elder, so he started to escape. It was also because of this incident that Gu Gan became a wanted criminal and went further and further down the underworld road. Although Gu Gan was suffering from the burning pain of karma, he grinned. Your mother still has the nerve to ask. Gu Gan smiled and turned the green man in front of him into ashes with a palm of his hand. Everyone Gu Gan killed had a clear conscience. Although there are some things that are wrong, I have no regrets. Even those who died because of him, Gu Gan shot them away one by one with a faint smile. You were killed because you were weak. As time passed, an extremely handsome man appeared in front of Gu Gan, whose appearance was very similar to Gu Gan's. Gu Kuan. Father, why do you want to kill me? Gu Kuan's voice was extremely shrill, and the flames of karma fire red lotus burst out, but Gu Gan's words immediately made Gu Kuan in front of him stand stunned on the spot. Gu Gan spread his hands. His mood swings were extremely small, not as good as the previous village bully who wanted to dominate his mother. Please, I'm not your father. With that said, Gu Gan casually slapped Gu Kuan away. Karma fire returned to normal again. Gradually, the karma fire on Gu Gan's body slowly extinguished, which means that all the karma has been burned. Gu Gan only felt that his thoughts were clear, and his speed of absorbing the immortal energy between heaven and earth became a little faster. Thank you, Mother, Yuehua, for helping me advance further in my practice. With his will returning to his soul, Gu Gan stood up and saluted Ji Yuehuang with his fists raised. Ji Yuehuang didn't know what happened just now, and she couldn't see the figures killed by Gu Gan. Those were just projections of Gu Gan's heart, but one thing is certain, the killing of Gu Gan is absolutely fishy. Otherwise, the evil act of killing alone is enough to make Gu Gan half dead by the fire of karma. Gu Kuan is indeed your biological heir, but I want to know why you said you want an heir that truly belongs to you. Ji Yuehuang is not in a hurry to fight, and it is not too late to ask the matter clearly before fighting. Gu Gan did not answer. Telling Ji Yuehuang about his identity as a time traveler is equivalent to handing over his handle. Even if you want to say it, it will have to be after Ji Yuehuang is pregnant with her child. Literally, stop talking nonsense, our battle has just begun. That this battle was extremely fierce. Gu Gan even used the abyss demonic sword to kill Ji Yuehuang multiple times, cut off at the waist, behead, cut into pieces, but Ji Yuehuang can reshape his body in a very short time. Even if his soul is wiped out with secret techniques, it won't take long for him to be restored to his original state. If Gu Gan, as the leader of the ancient clan, had not controlled the treasure house of the ancient clan, and Ji Yuehuang was not recognized by the old monster of Emperor Changsheng and could not enter the treasure house of the emperor, he would not have been killed so many times. Even if Gu Gan uses all his trump cards, Gu Gan's own immortal Yuan and Yang Yuan's can't keep up with the output. The unstoppable power of the abyss demonic sword is gradually declining. Damn it, can't you kill this creature? The abyss demon sword will roar. The immortal phoenix body is indeed unkillable. Some creatures that can be reborn without limit are based on the will of the soul, but the immortal phoenix body also includes Ji Yuehuang's soul will, and also has the cause of immortal rebirth. Even if it is divided into 1,000,000 pieces and sealed in different places, it cannot be killed, unless its lifespan reaches the end. Gu Gan has used all his means and has reached his limit, although he knows that Ji Yuehuang's rebirth speed is getting slower and slower every time she is killed. She is also getting stronger and stronger. Phoenix Nirvana, reborn from the fire. Every time she is reborn, Ji Yuehuang's strength will increase, and it will become more and more difficult to kill. Now Ji Yuehuang is controlling the fire sword condensed by the immortal god flame to suppress Gu Gan. My dear husband, you are really cruel and ruthless. You said you wanted me to have a baby for you, but you killed me without mercy. So now, what should you do? Ji Yuehuang smiled sweetly. She found that Gu Gan was getting stronger and stronger, and had surpassed herself at the same level. If the two sides fought at the same level, Gu Gan would cooperate with his endless trump cards, kill her and then seal her separately, and she would really lose. But the gap in cultivation was infinitely magnified at this time, becoming a magnificent mountain that Gu Gan could not cross. Chapter 83, In order to make me give birth to your child, you will do whatever it takes. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Gu Gan's strength exceeded Ji Yuehuang's expectations, however, for Ji Yuehuang, it was not a big problem. In terms of physique, the Ganyang Emperor's body is indeed extremely strong in combat, especially Gu Gan also has the magic sword that contains the origin of killing, and it is reasonable that he can kill himself 7 times, but the strength of the immortal phoenix body is reflected in immortality. I can make mistakes countless times and be killed by you countless times, but I only need to kill you once. After experiencing 7 nirvana rebirths, Ji Yuehuang's accumulated immortal momentum has reached a new high. Not only is the immortal power extremely abundant, but all aspects of the body attributes are beyond the peak. Gu Gan is not frustrated because he is about to lose, because he still has a trump card in his hand that he has not used, a trump card that surpasses the Ganyang Emperor's body and the immortal phoenix body. With your ancient fairyland cultivation, I need to kill you once more, and your nirvana will inevitably start to go downhill. Gu Gan took out a holy weapon and attacked Ji Yuehuang by self-destruction. If it was before, even if Gu Gan was the patriarch of the ancient clan, he could not be so extravagant. After all, it was not a life-and-death battle, so there was no need to self-destruct the holy weapon, and it was a top-grade holy weapon. Now that he has the system, if he wants to expand his family and have enough offspring, he will have a lot of holy weapons, not to mention holy weapons. Ji Yuehuang did not dare to resist the power of the holy weapon's self-destruction, and used the great magical power of shrinking the earth into an inch. Although he fled quickly, he was still affected by the holy weapon's self-destruction, and his breath became a little weak. You are really willing to do it. If your ancient clan ancestors knew that you were such a spendthrift, they would definitely beat you up. Ji Yuehuang did not forget to tease Gu Gan at this time. In her heart, Gu Gan had already lost. You are right. If I am killed by you again, the immortal factor in my body will fall into the recovery period, and I still have most of the combat power in its prime state. Although I can wear you to death, it is too troublesome. I will defeat you immediately. Ji Yuehuang did not intend to hold back any more, and was ready to force Gu Gan to reveal his trump card in one fell swoop and completely defeat him. In response to this situation, Gu Gan took out several holy artifacts from his inner world. The holy artifacts circulated brilliant light, shining on this world, and countless profound runes burst out with terrifying power. One by one, they locked onto Ji Yuehuang and detonated him. Ji Yuehuang's beautiful eyes narrowed slightly, and she was a little indignant about Gu Gan's upstart fighting style. If she was in full control of the Changsheng dynasty, she would not be afraid of Gu Gan's holy artifacts self-destructing. There is no way now. She cannot take the Changsheng dynasty's treasure house for herself, and she can't avoid the self-destructing holy artifacts. Humph. Ji Yuehuang said coldly, I want to see how many holy artifacts you have self-destructed. At this time, Gu Gan's immortal power and Yangyuan power were seriously depleted. If he faced Ji Yuehuang in his prime, he would be abused in the battle of magic and treasure, so a head-on battle is impossible. Gu Gan is not in a hurry, he has as many holy artifacts as he wants. As the saying goes, the old does not go, the new does not come. As long as the system is there, no matter how many holy artifacts there are. Using these holy artifacts to exchange for an empress wife is definitely a sure-win business. If you conquer Ji Yuehuang and help her completely take charge of the Changsheng dynasty, it will be equivalent to the Changsheng dynasty becoming a vassal force of the ancient clan. Wife, isn't it just you? Most importantly, most of these holy artifacts are trophies after killing Wang Tingchuan. Gu Gan really admires him. He has so many children and the rewards he gets are quite amazing. There are more than 50 holy artifacts alone, more than 10 divine artifacts, and even more immortal artifacts piled up like a mountain. So Gu Gan didn't feel bad at all when he exploded, just like throwing a box of firecrackers for $1. Not long after, the continent on the edge of the Dao realm was sunk by the explosion of Gu Gan's holy weapon, and hundreds of millions of lives were accidentally killed by Gu Gan. Ji Yuehuang was also in a miserable state at this time. The holy clothes on her body were torn and tattered, revealing a large area of snow-white skin, and her hair was messy. Facing Ji Yuehuang's eyes like a resentful woman, Gu Gan coughed dryly, My wife, if you ask me, just admit defeat. It's just giving birth to a baby for your husband. What's the big deal? Ji Yuehuang wanted to burn Gu Gan to ashes with the immortal flame and scatter his ashes. She really wanted to ask Gu Gan, even if you are the patriarch of the Gu clan, you can't get so many holy weapons, right? There are so many that it seems like wholesale. You're dreaming. Ji Yuehuang gritted her teeth. This was the first time since she started practicing that she felt so uncomfortable being beaten in a fair fight. The key was that the opponent didn't play by the rules at all, who would be a cultivator in the realm of the emperor and use a holy weapon to self-destruct against the enemy. Ji Yuehuang had used up all her cards, including all kinds of extremely powerful magical powers and legendary secret methods. But they were all offset by Gu Gan's self-destruction of the holy weapon. The power of the holy weapon's self-destruction was extremely terrifying. Even if Ji Yuehuang attacked with all her strength, it was not enough to avoid it. Okay, the time is ripe, it's time to end it. Gu Gan spoke and took out a small long sword from his inner world. With a swing of the long sword, an incomparable and terrifying sword intent directly tore the sky in half. Even the ubiquitous fog was sweeping towards both sides at this time, opening up a clear world. All the creatures in this world seemed to be under a spell of immobilization. They stood there in a daze, their whole bodies trembling uncontrollably, and every cell in their bodies was struggling in death. Ji Yuehuang's face was in dismay, and at this moment, she also showed an expression of disbelief. You are crazy, that she had a bad guess in her mind. In order to defeat himself, Gu Gan was willing to self-destruct a divine weapon. After all, the power of the Abyss Demon Sword is not inferior to that of a divine weapon. Gu Gan does not need to concentrate on controlling another divine weapon, which will reveal a bigger flaw. Now that Gu Gan has taken this divine weapon, his purpose is self-evident self-destruction. At the beginning, the Dao realm and Qian were bordering each other, and the divine weapon that was born attracted the old monsters in the Changzhou realm to scramble for it. Now Gu Gan is willing to do this to defeat himself, just to let herself give birth to a child for him. Is it worth it? She really wants to open Gu Gan's head and see what he is thinking. Gu Gan held the divine sword in his hand, but the divine sword struggled violently. Knowing that Gu Gan wanted to self-destruct itself, it naturally could not obey. Spiritual weapons are spiritual, not to mention divine weapons. Many holy weapons can transform into living beings and walk between heaven and earth. Suppress it. Gu Gan said to the Abyss Demon Sword. The Abyss Demon Sword shot out a black sword light, heading straight for the origin of the divine weapon. The origin of killing invaded its mind and made it crazy. The sword also has a level. Obviously, the level of the Abyss Demon Sword is higher than that of the divine sword. To be continued. Chapter 84 Green Lotus Creation Body, Gu Xueli. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Zheng, that the power of the divine sword's self-detonation was extremely shocking. Even a strong person like Ji Yuehuang had to flee in panic. The void was shattered into thousands, and everything was annihilated into the smallest factor under the vast sword light and completely wiped out from the world. The land fell, the sky was torn apart, and the stars were shattered. Everything seemed to be the beginning of the universe, and the sword light of the divine sword's self-detonation swallowed everything in sight. This is not over yet. A slash appeared, cutting a piece of land in the Zhuedao realm into a deep abyss stretching for countless billions of miles. At this moment, all the spirits in the Zhuedao realm clearly felt the violent vibration coming from the Zhuedao realm, which was no less than when it bordered the 3,000 Dao states. Finally, the land that Gu Gan and Ji Yuehuang were on was cut off and peeled off from the left Dao realm. This land fell downwards, slowly dissipated in the mist of the void, and disappeared completely. And under the sword of the self-detonation of the divine sword, no soul survived, including Ji Yuehuang. However, in the empty void, there was a piece of fiery red material, burning with immortal divine flames. Ji Yuehuang's body and soul became a group of immortal factors in the self-detonation of the artifact, escaped into the fate space, avoiding all traceable damage, and began to reshape the soul and body. Gu Gan, is it really worth it for you to do this? Ji Yuehuang's body has not yet reunited, and the ethereal voice resounded throughout this space. Gu Gan's figure gradually faded from the spot. When he appeared again, he was already in this group of immortal factors. My wife, these holy artifacts and divine artifacts may be precious to you, but for me, they are just a bunch of tools to achieve my goal. Believe me, You must give your husband a lovely child and let us become a family. What I have is yours. Gu Gan showed a smile that made people feel like spring breeze, handsome face, strong breath, and the Ganyang emperor body that makes all females fall for it, and with such affectionate words, almost no woman can resist, but Ji Yuehuang is an exception, especially after being killed by Gu Gan 8 times. You are dreaming. Even if you kill me 10 more times, you are still not my opponent. I don't believe that the treasures on your body are inexhaustible. Ji Yuehuang's voice was full of anger. This was her most aggrieved experience. This bad embryo is so hateful. Ji Yuehuang swore that after she took over the throne, she would torture this guy severely. But Gu Gan would not give Ji Yuehuang a chance to be reborn. Xueli, interrupt the rebirth of this immortal empress. Gu Gan said with a faint smile. The next moment, in the world inside Gu Gan's body, in the center of the lake composed of long fluid, a green lotus slowly bloomed. As the flower bud opened, a girl sitting cross-legged in the dew was revealed, with white hair falling like a waterfall of stars, shining with silver stars. The girl was naked, and her pair of pure and flawless beautiful eyes opened slightly. Like the sky at the beginning of the morning, bright and warm, the moment she woke up, the whole world was eclipsed by her appearance. Her existence seemed to be a miracle, making people feel the beauty and greatness of life. All the beautiful adjectives applied to her still cannot express her perfection. Her soul-stirring red lips said, "Okay, clan leader, Qian Xueli, should be called Gu Xueli," with a barely perceptible smile in her beautiful eyes, as if she had had a long dream and couldn't help but linger on. She stood up slowly, with a perfect figure. Her seductive pink toes were long and slender, and her nails were neat and round, like a fine work of art, with a healthy pink luster. Her soles were white and tender, without any flaws. Her heels were small and round, with smooth and graceful lines, and she exuded charming charm with every step. Following her toes, you can see her slender legs. Her legs were straight and slender, without a trace of fat, and her skin was tight and elastic, as if she was emitting charming brilliance when she lifted her legs. Looking further, you can see her slim waist. Her waist is slender and soft, as if it can be bent at will, without any fat. Every detail of Gu Xueli is so perfect, from toes to hair, all of which show her beauty and charm. Most importantly, Gu Xueli's temperament is transcendent, and she contains infinite power of creation, as if she is a fairy walking in the world of mortals. With every move, she can seize the creation of heaven and earth and the eyes of all spirits. With a light jump, the chaos green lotus under her feet turned into dots of green light and merged with Gu Xueli, or, they are originally one. The chaos green lotus evolved into a set of green long skirts, with fluttering skirts and graceful postures, when Gu Xueli walked out of Gu Gan's inner world and stood in front of Gu Gan. Facing such a beautiful woman, Gu Gan wanted to say, "Who said that thin waist and big breasts, chopstick legs and big buttocks can't exist at the same time?" Gu Gan is actually a vulgar person. Like many men, he likes to see the beauty of women. If she takes it, Gu Gan doesn't mind if she takes off her clothes to see her inner beauty, but now is not the time to think about this. The reason why Gu Xueli, who successfully reshaped her body, was called here was to suppress the nirvana rebirth of the immortal phoenix body with Gu Xueli's Qingnian creation body. Gu Gan had no way to stop Ji Yuehuang's rebirth, but by reshaping the body with the chaos green lotus, the green lotus creation body that is condensed can seize the creation of heaven and earth, and suppress the immortal factor at a higher level. The green lotus creation body is of a very high level, surpassing the Ganyang emperor body and the immortal phoenix body, and it is all-encompassing and can absorb all the energy in the universe in any form. Senior Xueli, congratulations, you have a physical body, and I admire you so much. Thank you. Gu Gan clasped his fists towards Gu Xueli. Although Gu Xueli is only at the enlightened level now, Gu Gan still respects her. Gu Xueli clasped his fists in return, and his voice was crisp, like the sound of a fairy from heaven. You are the clan leader. I don't dare to be the senior. I have been a member of the ancient clan for a long time, and I will respect you in the future. And I will also shoulder the mission of strengthening the clan. Gu Gan was very satisfied with Gu Xueli's attitude. And it seemed that he had not made a mistake in judging her. In fact, Gu Xueli knew that everything Gu Gan had done was for himself and the Gu clan, but what Gu Gan had done to her at the beginning had completely convinced Gu Xueli, and she was willing to stand by Gu Gan and serve him. After that, Gu Gan's real purpose was no longer important. It was like a hypocrite pretending to be a hypocrite for a lifetime. What was the difference between him and a real gentleman? Xueli sat cross-legged in front of Gu Gan, and a green lotus with infinite power of creation appeared behind him, and began to absorb its immortal power. It was not until this time that Ji Yuehuang panicked. Chaos Green Lotus. Wasn't it taken by a kid from the lower world, you? Gu Gan. Chapter 85. Let's talk about this later. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ji Yuehuang could clearly feel that her own nirvana and rebirth was forcibly interrupted because of the appearance of this white-haired girl. Although the white-haired girl is as weak as an ant at this time, her energy level is extremely high. The power of creation contains the power of creation with infinite possibilities. The emergence of the power of creation interrupted the reorganization of S own immortality factors, and he could only watch Xueli absorb the power of immortality. Fortunately, Xueli's cultivation level is too low at this time, so even if she absorbs it for 100 years, it won't have much impact, but Gan can pose a threat to yourself. As long as Gan sealed himself, was completely defeated, and his life and death were controlled by Gan. Madam, don't be afraid. You are my Taoist companion. How could I really be cruel to you? Gan smiled lightly. This was all within his expectation. The reason why the Xueli was not released for the first time to suppress Ji Yuehuang's nirvana rebirth was because the immortality factor in Ji Yuehuang's body was at its peak at that time, and with the current Xueli, it was still unable to effectively suppress it. Only when Ji Yuehuang's rebirth effect starts to go downhill is it time to use this trump card. Ji Yuehuang's heart was full of unwillingness, but there was nothing she could do. I lose. Ji Yuehuang slowly conveyed these 3 words, smiled dryly, don't be discouraged. It's normal to lose to Qian. There was a playful smile on Gan's face. I won. Although I won't win with force, this is a fact. According to the bet, madam, we should cultivate together and have a baby. Ji Yuehuang fell into silence. She was unwilling to accept this result. After being silent for a long time, Ji Yuehuang finally spoke. On other terms, I don't want to give birth to your child. Your character worries me. It is naturally impossible to change it. He also hopes that Ji Yuehuang will fall in love over time, so that Ji Yuehuang can become his own woman and put himself first in his heart. As a result, the Changsheng Emperor dynasty also became a vassal of the clan. However, if Ji Yuehuang would rather die, he cannot force this matter. Xueli, who is absorbing the power of immortality to improve her cultivation, has a strange face. At first, I thought Ji Yuehuang was an enemy, but I didn't expect that they were fighting, or a weird bet like giving birth to a baby. Xueli continued to practice with the mentality that it didn't matter, pretending not to hear. Qian knew that Ji Yuehuang would not agree, so he advised, Madam, I know you have misunderstood me, but we have made a contract with heaven. If you go back on it, you will be considered useless. How about this? According to our previous bet, I can still give you all the benefits promised to you if I lose. Of course, the relationship between Taoists and Taoists remains the same. The previous bet was that if Gan lost, Gan was willing to pay half of the compensation from the Wuji Immortal Palace, 5 copies of longevity liquid, and 50% of the control of Bingdi City, in order to agree to Ji Yuehuang's dissolution of the Taoist couple relationship. In order to get Ji Yuehuang to agree, Qian didn't mind taking out these benefits anyway. For Han Qian, Ji Yuehuang will be his own woman sooner or later, and she should be an investment. In particular, 50% of the control of Bingdi City was given to the Changsheng Emperor to prevent other orthodoxy from coveting it. You keep me unpredictable and make me interested in you. Well, let her leave first and let's have a good talk. Ji Yuehuang's tone softened, as if she was compromising. At Gan's signal, Xueli withdrew the power of creation and stood quietly beside Gan. Without the suppression of Qinglian's creation body, Ji Yuehuang was quickly reborn. After her 9th rebirth, Ji Yuehuang's aura was a little sluggish, but she was still strong. She took a deep look, then turned around and disappeared in an instant, leaving only an afterimage that slowly dissipated. She ran away. Wouldn't she rather violate the contract with heaven than give you a child? Xueli said, in response. Qian just smiled lightly. I know she will not be willing to admit defeat and will find a way to cancel the effect of the contract of heaven. Xueli asked, but you still let her go, is so confident that she can't cancel the effect of the heavenly contract? Or will she agree to have a child with you? Gan shook his head. No. She can lift it, she can definitely lift it, but it doesn't matter. I never thought of relying on the contract of heaven to achieve my goal. For a woman like her, the more you force her, the less willing she will be to obey. Even if she dies, she will bite off a piece of my flesh. I am not her enemy, I am her king. I only treat her well and let her feel the unprecedented warmth in that cold place. She will take care of herself. Saying that, Gan raised his hand and communicated with the will of heaven, as the winning party, directly and unilaterally terminate the Tiandao contract. For the Qian, defeating Ji Yuehuang is just the first step, letting her know that her position is above hers. I never thought of using the contract of heaven to force Ji Yuehuang to give birth to a child on her own. Of course, it would be better if she is willing. On the internet, it is almost impossible for a man to rape a woman who is awake, not to mention one person. Just a woman would rather die than obey, even 3 or 5 men. It is impossible, especially Ji Yuehuang is stronger than Gan, and the purpose is still to have children. So since Ji Yuehuang was unwilling, the Qian adopted the second plan, first to gain favor with Ji Yuehuang, and then to make Ji Yuehuang willingly fulfill his promise and give birth to a child for himself. Xueli was inspired. I don't know whether to say you are a bastard who plays with human nature, or to praise your deep scheming. She knew that she had fallen into the web that Gan had woven for her, but she was willing. After all, the value of a chaos green lotus was such that she was willing to sacrifice her life, and Gan gave her so much, and Xueli was also a person who valued friendship and was willing to work for Gan. Gan looked at Xueli, who had a graceful figure. Her youthful and energetic body matched with her unparalleled mature woman temperament, which made Gan's mind full of imagination. Gan showed an unpredictable smile. Xueli, I still remember you said before that you wanted to experience the taste of dual cultivation, and you said you were willing to become my Taoist partner. Hearing Gan mention this, Qian God, who had lived for countless years, also showed shyness. Her cheeks were slightly flushed, like blooming peach blossoms, delicate and beautiful. She wanted to say something, but hesitated and didn't speak. She just bit her lower lip lightly, but her eyes were shy and confused. This matter, let's talk about it later. Gan's eyes lit up. Okay. Then let's do it today and talk about it later. As he said, Gan picked up Princess Xueli, who had no power to resist, and returned to the Wang clan. Soon, in the world where the clan leader was, the exclamation of Qian God was heard. Won't we talk about it later? Gan smirked. Yes, we will talk about it later. Xueli, don't you have a Taoist partner? Gan said seriously, I admit that I am a scumbag. I am lustful, addicted to sex, and think with my lower body. Xueli, no. The dual cultivation I mentioned before is based on the fact that we are Taoist partners. I will save my first time for my future master. Gan, Senior Xueli, in fact, I have already fallen in love with you. I wonder if I can call you my wife. With the 1000% charm bonus of the Emperor Gan Yang's body to females, coupled with his handsome face and extremely rich yang source power, Xueli quickly fell, and Xueli had a good impression of Gan, otherwise she would not have said before that she was willing to be a Taoist partner with Gan. So under the dominance of Gan, Xueli reluctantly gave up her first time from and merged with Gan's seed, with the system's 100% chance of winning. A new life is being nurtured in Sully's belly. P.S. No more fuss, just fuck. Ask for a gift. Chapter 86 Young Clan Leader or Clan Leader's Wife. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the future, Xueli, who tasted the wonderful taste of dual cultivation for the first time in countless years, has fallen. The act of dual cultivation has nothing to do with it, it mainly depends on the person, as the body of the Emperor Gan Yang, just standing there and doing nothing is fatally attractive to any female, and now that they are practicing dual cultivation at a negative distance, it basically means that Xueli has completely fallen in love with Gu Gan. Of course, as the Shantian God from a higher realm, especially with the Chaos Green Lotus to reshape the body, she can ignore the influence of the Emperor Ganyang body and keep her heart, but Gu Xueli will not deliberately suppress this feeling. After all, even if it is her heart, she has a good impression of Gu Gan. Dual cultivation is just to add fuel to the fire, quickly warming up the relationship between the two and reaching the progress of a natural process. However, this kind of feeling has not reached the level of mutual support and husband and wife. After all, they have only practiced dual cultivation once, and there is still a long way to go in the future. Gu Gan knows very well that although Gu Xueli's beautiful eyes are full of love, it will retreat rapidly as she puts on clothes. There is still a possibility that she will betray herself and the ancient clan for various reasons in the future, but Gu Gan is not worried. This is a chaotic era, and the bond between herself and Gu Xueli will become inseparable as time goes by and they experience together. Gu Gan, what kind of identity do you plan to give me in the ancient clan? Gu Kuan is dead, are you going to give me the position of the young clan leader? I think the title of clan leader's wife is not bad. After Gu Gan and Gu Xueli had an in-depth exchange of dual cultivation, Gu Xueli was not so restrained. After all, from the day they reshaped their bodies, the two of them were from the same clan. Gu Gan had already made arrangements for this. The position of the young clan leader is vacant. Although your cultivation is still low now, you can rely on the Qingmian creation body, the Shantian temple, and the memory experience of your previous life. I am afraid that it will not take long for you to grow into the first pride of the 3000 Daozhou and spread the name of our ancient clan. Gu Kuan died, and there are few prodigies who can take up the banner among the younger generation of the ancient clan. The first prodigy of the ancient clan is Gu Suner, but her strength is not satisfactory. With the coming of the turbulent times, I am afraid that many secret realms and blessed places will appear, and there will be various restrictions on cultivation strength. Prodigies are not only the facades of the major Taoist sects, but also can gain huge benefits for their own Taoist sections. But Gu Xueli alone is not enough. You have to live, and you have to live hard. With the Duoduofu system, it is guaranteed that the babies born in the ancient tribe in the future will have excellent qualifications. While there is still time, not only Gu Gan himself, but all the tribesmen including the ancestors must speed up the process of having children. Gu Gan and Gu Xueli put on their clothes and came to the meeting hall. My son Gu Kuan died, and the position of the young patriarch is vacant. Gu Xueli will take the position of the young patriarch. This news quickly swept through the ancient tribe, and all the tribesmen couldn't help but talk about it. When they heard that Gu Xueli's cultivation level was only the 4th level of the Cangming realm, they were all boiling and aroused strong opposition. Even the ancestors felt that Gu Gan was a bit messy when they heard the news. But when they learned about Gu Xueli's true identity, they all kept silent. Mainly, after learning that Gu Xueli was a Blue Lotus body and in charge of the Shantian temple, a top-grade artifact, they knew very well that the ancient clan would have a peerless figure who could suppress an era. As for his clan members, Gu Gan didn't want to explain one by one. When Gu Xueli grows up, she will eventually break all doubts with strength. The news that Gu Gan announced that Gu Xueli would serve as the young clan leader was quickly spread, causing quite a stir in the 3000 Dao states. At this time, the ancient clan had long been at the forefront of public opinion in the 3000 Dao states. Whether it was its performance in the left-handed world or the strange cause of Gu Kuan's death, it was a topic worth discussing, and now Gu Gan has appointed a junior who has just reached the 4th level of the enlightened realm as the young clan leader, pushing the discussion of the ancient clan Gu Gan to a climax. In the 3000 Dao states, only the first-class practitioners are considered mature, and Gu Xueli, who has just reached the 4th level of the enlightenment realm, is equivalent to a 4 or 5-year-old child on earth. However, no one thinks that Gu Gan is stupid for doing this. On the contrary, everyone thinks that there must be a conspiracy. Through investigation, they were surprised to find that Gu Xueli had never appeared in any records of the ancient clan, but her name actually appeared in the ancient clan genealogy, which means that Gu Xueli does have the blood of the ancient clan in her body. And if you want to leave your name in the ancient clan genealogy, the first condition is to have 10% of the blood power of the ancient clan. I heard from many ancient clan members that even they don't know who Gu Xueli is. Is she Gu Gan's illegitimate daughter? Does anyone know what her talent is? No matter what, if a young girl who has just opened her eyes is made the young clan leader, she won't be able to achieve anything in the next few decades. Besides Gu Gan, the ancestor of the ancient clan, the only person who knows Gu Xueli's talent is Ji Yuehuang, who is far away in the Tongxian Imperial Dynasty, Xianshao City, Shady Mansion. In the backyard of the mansion, there is a lake with 9 color clouds flowing, which reflects the sky full of stars, as if there is a wonderful world in it. On the lake, red, beautiful and rare animals are either standing on the courtyard building, or circling for 9 days, or swooping into the lake, taking up the smell of the lake water to scare away prey. In such a clever and colorful mansion, a beautiful figure sat on the suspended pavilion in the middle of the lake. Even the colorful and beautiful scenery could not compete with her beauty. Her existence made all beautiful things pale in comparison. Only she was the center of the world and the only focus. However, there were some dark clouds on Ji Yuehuang's beautiful face, which did not look so beautiful. She lost to Gu Gan. Although Gu Gan's means were a bit despicable, the fact of victory and defeat was in front of us. In fact, it was nothing to lose. She, Ji Yuehuang, was not a good person, and it was not the first time that she broke the contract. I thought that according to Gu Gan's meanness, he would force himself to break the contract with the heavenly Tao. I thought that I could return to the Tongxian dynasty as soon as possible, and use the ancient secret method to contact the influence of the heavenly Tao contract, or block the heavenly Tao induction, or deceive the heavenly Tao with fake death. In short, there is always a way. What she didn't expect was that Gu Gan, as the victorious party, unilaterally lifted the restrictions on himself in the heavenly Tao contract. She knew that Gu Gan was retreating to advance. Knowing is one thing, and the weird emotions in the heart are another. She thought she had seen through Gu Gan at first, and Gu Gan's actions exceeded her expectations again and again. Gu Gan's killing behavior was obviously very strange, otherwise the Karma Red Lotus would have burned him to death long ago, or at least heard his origin. Gu Gan was fine soon, and his state of mind was even better. My dear husband, why have you changed so much? It's full of mystery. I want to find out. I heard that when a person becomes curious about the opposite sex, he or she begins to fall in love. But I don't believe it. I will see you clearly. To be continued. Chapter 87. Ji Yueer sighed. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sister, I heard that you returned from the ancient tribe in embarrassment. It seems that you suffered a big loss at the hands of Gu Gan. Outside the regent's mansion, a playful voice sounded. The visitor is Ji Yuehuang, the emperor of the Tongxian dynasty, and also the biological brother of Ji Yuehuang. However, the relationship between the two siblings is not as harmonious as it seems on the surface. Although they are siblings, in the emperor's family, the most valuable thing is family ties. The mothers of Ji Yuehuang and Ji Yueer alone gave birth to more than 30 brothers and sisters, not to mention the other wives and concubines of the previous generation of emperors. Ji Yueer reached the end and achieved the position of emperor. It's not that Ji Yuehuang has the best talent and Changsheng Mansion is the best. Ji Yuehuang ascended to the throne of God. Half of the credit goes to Ji Yuehuang. Ji Yuehuang knew that at that time, she was not destined to be the emperor. Instead of facing a more difficult opponent in the future, it would be better to support Ji Yuehuang, who knew the truth. Not only is his talent and personality not as good as his own, but he is also not that keen on the throne. In this way, it will not be so difficult to seek power and seize the throne in the future. As soon as he sat on the throne, Ji Yuehuang's ambition began to expand infinitely, and Ji Yuehuang regarded Ji Yuehuang as the biggest threat. The ancestors and former ministers of the Tongxian Emperor dynasty also did not want the rules to be broken by Ji Yuehuang and let a female proclaim the emperor, and fully assisted Ji Yuehuang to consolidate the rule of the Tongxian Emperor dynasty. Ji Yuehuang adjusted her condition in an instant. Her beautiful eyes remained as calm as water. You don't have to deal with my affairs. Ji Yuehuang's voice was cold. Behind Ji Yuehuang, an old minister shouted coldly, Ji Yuehuang, don't be too presumptuous. Ji Yuehuang raised his hand to cut off the old minister and said with a smile, my brother-in-law killed your and his child. I was wondering why you didn't hurt your sister. It turns out that Gu Gan and Yueer's offspring have nothing to do with you. These words made Ji Yuehuang's eyes appear astonished. She had done this perfectly in the first place. How could Ji Yuehuang know about it? Could it be that Ji Yueer? Where is Ji Yueer? Ji Yuehuang felt a little uneasy. Ji Yueer and Gu Gan's biological mother are also an extremely smart person. Ji Yuehuang would not want to break up with her unless it was absolutely necessary. Ji Yuehuang, you make me very disappointed. My Qian is dead, but you are just like nothing happened. That's right, Qian has nothing to do with you. A cold sigh came. This is also a beautiful woman, but her temperament is much different from Ji Yuehuang's. Ji Yueer's beautiful eyes were red and swollen, as if she had been crying for a long time. There was grey despair and more hatred in her beautiful eyes. In the era when she was still a genius, she was accidentally rescued by Gu Gan, and Gu Gan's figure lived in her heart. Later, she was willing to be used by Ji Yuehuang and gave birth to Gu Gan with Gu Qian. According to the agreement, as long as she waits patiently for Ji Yuehuang to become the new emperor, he will help her and Gu Gan be together. Now that Gu Gan is dead, all the beautiful illusions are shattered. She only wants to do one thing now: kill the culprit who murdered Gu Gan. Ji Yueer is a very smart woman. She knows that Wuji Immortal Palace is only a scapegoat, so she can just ignore it, and from the clues about this matter, find out who would benefit the most from Gu Gan's death. There is no doubt that the ancient tribe, although she doesn't want to admit it, Ji Yueer still accepts this fact. Gu Gan did die in the hands of his own people from the ancient tribe. As for whether was killed by Gu Gan himself, it remains to be verified, but no matter what, Gu Gan's death is inseparable from Gu Gan. Ji Yuehuang muttered, "Have you chosen to take sides?" That there were three major factions in the Changsheng Emperor dynasty. The largest faction is naturally the one with Ji Yuehuang as its leader. It has the support of most of the ancestors and old ministers and is difficult to shake. The second faction is headed by Ji Yuehuang. It also has the support of a small number of ancestors and all new ministers, as well as the vassal forces of the Changsheng Emperor scattered in 3,000 states. As for the third faction, it is not for the purpose of fighting for power, but it controls the strongest combat power of the Changsheng Emperor dynasty, the Xianshao Emperor Army. The leader of the Xianshao Imperial Army is Ji Yueer's biological father, Ji Qian. Ji Qian does not belong to any faction and is responsible for guarding the Changsheng Emperor. Originally, the emperor who belonged to the Changsheng Emperor dynasty needed to obey the emperor's orders, but due to the struggle for power between Ji Yuehuang and Ji Yueer, he simply withdrew from the Changsheng Emperor dynasty and ignored the fight between the two. Who would win in the future? Just listen to whoever it is, it's different now. Ji Yueer, the only one who can make Ji Qian take sides, seems to be coming with bad intentions. Not yet. Ji Yueer shook her head. Ji Yueer looked at Ji Yuehuang. I'm here to get a definite answer from you. After a pause, Ji Yueer's voice trembled. Did my Qian die in the hands of the ancient tribesmen? Was he killed by Gu Gan? Ji Yuehuang didn't know how to answer this question. Apparently, Gu Gan did kill Gu Gan, however, was not hit hard by the karma because of this incident. Obviously, there was a hidden secret that he was not aware of. Or not. You actually already have the answer. No matter what I say, you will do it. Ji Yuehuang looked into Ji Yueer's eyes. Ji Yuehuang stood up and looked in the direction of the ancient clan. Perhaps you should ask yourself, but I still want to advise you. Has changed a lot and may disappoint you. Ji Yueer closed her eyes, and 2 drops of clear tears fell down, turning into pure immortal energy and dissipating between heaven and earth. In fact, 2 years before we entered the left world, my was very painful, as if a close relative had passed away. At that time, I went to the ancient tribe alone, and was in retreat. I learned from the people of the ancient tribe that Qian was brought into the small world. My Qian should have been there at that time. Ji Yuehuang nodded and asked, so? What do you want to do? In order to force me and Ji Yuehuang to make a choice, whoever agrees to go to war with the ancient tribe, will you let me take sides? At this time, Ji Yuehuang raised his arms and hugged Ji Yueer's waist. Ji Yueer did not resist and nestled in Ji Yuehuang's arms. Ji Yueer has a child with the original Gu Gan double cultivator, so she will not become a harem, and she will not be able to bring help to the corner. There is really no need to accept a girl at the first sight, then she will be the same as Wang Tingchuan. Besides, isn't Ji Yuehuang fragrant? Ba Xian has been pursuing me for a long time. As long as I can avenge my son, maybe this is the right choice. I no longer need Gu Gan's love. The tears in Ji Yueer's eyes disappeared and she became cold. Queen said, I will go to the ancient tribe as an emperor and queen. If Qian is really killed by Gu Gan, I will help my husband to put down the civil strife in Emperor Tongshuan's court first, and then launch a full-scale war against the Gu clan. To be continued. Chapter 88 Cangming Sword Technique. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ancient clan. The clan leader is in the small world. After the battle with Ji Yuehuang, Gu Gan reflected on his own shortcomings. It is obvious that the self who traveled through time is not Ji Yuehuang's opponent at all. The reason why he was able to win is nothing more than relying on the power of the enemy. If Ji Yuehuang can completely control the Tongxian dynasty and have the right to use the imperial treasury, he will definitely not have a chance of winning. As the patriarch of the ancient clan, many things do not need to be done by himself, but this is the Xuanhuan world, and individual strength is always the top priority. It's time to improve myself. Gu Gan thought about his future growth and cultivation plan. The most important thing for the ancient clan now is resources. This trip to the Dao realm made a lot of money, and there was also a resource compensation from the Wuji Immortal Palace. For a long time in the future, the wallets of the ancient clan will be bursting. Taking advantage of this time, Gu Gan is ready to improve himself. The road ahead is long, and there will be various changes. Only by strengthening oneself can we cope with the disasters that may come in the future. My son's supreme body has been promoted to the Ganyang Emperor body, but like Gu Qian, I cannot exert the true power of the Ganyang Emperor body. Gu Gan mobilized the Yang source power in his body, and a Black Emperor's true body appeared behind him, exuding a strong aura. Although the aura is strong, it has limited effect on Gu Gan. It is impossible to awaken the ancient true body like the incarnation, and merge with it to burst out absolute suppression. This requires Gu Gan to develop it himself. I know all the magical skills. I just need to practice them more and I will be able to master them and use them instantly. Fight more and it won't take long for me to completely digest all the combat experience. But this is not enough. At most, I can only reach the strength of Ji Yuehuang. If you want to conquer her, you have to surpass her. After saying this, Gu Gan raised his hand, and the black sword pattern totem on his wrist was surrounded by a faint black mist. Then he took out a nameless sword technique that emitted a sharp light from his sea of consciousness. This nameless sword technique is Lin Chen's golden finger. Before Lin Chen was given to Lin Yushan and Tang Yi's wife, Lin Chen's golden finger had been taken away. If you want to further improve yourself, in addition to developing the Ganyang Emperor's body, you have to practice swordsmanship. With the Abyss Demon sword hand and a golden finger of Kendo luck, it would be a shame not to practice Kendo. I wanted to travel the world with a sword, but I was fined for using controlled knives. Gu Gan sighed. As a gangster in the Yuehuang of the earth, he had pistols, spray guns, and even grenades in the early years, but now he is not so arrogant. After the crackdown on gangs and evil, controlled knives are no longer seen in public places. As a novel fan, Gu Gan, like many men, has had a dream of flying with a sword. He also collected many swords himself. But unfortunately the earth in the last days is developing a technological civilization. Retracting his thoughts, Gu Gan began to refine the nameless sword technique. As soon as the soul wrapped the nameless sword technique, it encountered strong resistance and rejected Gu Gan. Gu Gan sneered, I know that the golden fingers of you, the Fortune King, are all righteous. As a villain, Gu Gan, like the Fortune King, also has the ability to be close to treasures. But in stark contrast to the Fortune King, the treasures that are close to Gu Gan are all evil magic weapons. For example, the evil sword and the Abyss Demon sword. The nameless sword technique is extremely bad at first glance. Although it does not contain the righteousness, it is extremely repellent to the breath of the Abyss Demon sword on Gu Gan. Sang Biao, help me refine it. Gu Gan shouted to the Abyss Demon sword. Sang Biao is the name Gu Gan gave to the Abyss Demon sword. The Abyss Demon sword has no idea what Sang Biao means. It only thinks that Sang means death, and it is the embodiment of killing, and it feels very suitable for itself. As for Biao, of course it means fierce. A fierce sword full of the taste of death is the Abyss Demon sword's understanding of the name Sang Biao. If the earthlings knew about it, they would subconsciously suck, after all, dogs like the mighty and domineering name of Sang Biao, with the help of the origin of killing. Even if the nameless sword technique has a strange origin, it can only be refined by Gu Gan. The nameless sword technique is not really nameless and wordless. Only after refining it can you see the words and graphics on the sword technique, which will turn into a white light imprinted in Gu Gan's sea of consciousness. Cangming sword technique. Cangming 9 swords. The nameless sword technique is called Cangming sword technique, with a total of 9 sword moves, and if you want to perform these 9 sword moves, you need to reach a certain level of sword cultivation and have specific requirements. The 9 sword moves are, Cangming slash, cutting the 9 skies, fixing the myriad things, breaking the 10,000 armies, holding the universe, reversing the end, swallowing the universe, wandering in the void, and opening the Cangming with 1 sword. Cangming slash and cutting the 9 skies require the cultivation of Cangming sword qi, and sufficient immortal power, and a sword carrier that can withstand huge output. Fixing the myriad things and breaking the 10,000 armies require the cultivation of Cangming sword intention, and a broad enough vision, with the Cangming realm in mind, all-encompassing, and the momentum of destroying the 10,000 armies. Zhang Qiankuan and reversing the end require the cultivation of Cangming sword heart, and must comprehend the way of space and yin and yang. Swallowing the universe and arrogant in the void require more stringent conditions, requiring the cultivation of Cangming sword domain, and must have a deep enough understanding of the origin of the world and the way of time and destiny. As for the sword that can open the sea, there is no record of it in the sword formula, only 1 sentence. You will learn it when you know it. Gu Gan felt speechless. It's just a book of sword tactics, but the conditions are so harsh. In addition to comprehending the profound top-level Tao of space, yin and yang, time, and destiny, you also have to comprehend the origin of the world. But it is indeed very difficult. I am afraid that even if the ancient wilderness that Ji Yuehuang said is released, it will definitely trigger a bloody fight. The first 8 swords of the 9 swords of Cangming correspond to the 4 systems of the sword cultivation system: sword energy, sword intention, sword heart, and sword domain. For practitioners like Gu Gan who have never practiced swordsmanship, everything needs to start from scratch. The fastest way for sword cultivation to improve is to experience life and death. Fighting. The sword cultivation system exists for killing. Sword cultivators who do not kill for the purpose of killing are not qualified sword cultivators. As if thinking of something, Gu Gan took out 29 evil swords from the small world in his body, which were obtained from the sword tomb where Sang Biao was sealed. I'm a villain, so it makes sense to train a team of evil sword cultivators. But who should I choose to train? I seem to remember that among the vassal forces of the ancient clan, there is a sword cultivation sect called Haoran sword sect. Evil is also evil when good things go wrong. To be continued. Chapter 89 Haoran sword sect. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yujin Daozhou. This place is relatively remote, located on the edge of the 3000 Daozhou continent, just like the West Fish Daozhou bordering the left Dao realm. However, Gingjin is abundant here, which is the main material for refining flying swords. Sword cultivation is the mainstream cultivation system here, and there are many large and small sword cultivation sects and families. Similarly, the evil sword cultivation in Yujin Daozhou is also extremely rampant, forming a large scale evil sword cultivation alliance. No matter where, if there is a side that represents justice, there must be a side that represents evil. If there is no evil to check justice, justice will degenerate into evil and corrupt from the inside. The battle between righteous sword cultivators and evil sword cultivators has never stopped in the 3000 Daozhou for countless years. Yujin Daozhou is just a place where the fighting is more intense. Such an environment is the most perfect environment for sword cultivators. Seeking stability blindly will only make your sword slower and duller. A qualified sword master has experienced countless life and death, and fought his way to the sword master from the pile of dead bodies. Of course, in addition to the sword cultivators who fight for strength, there are also sword cultivators who fight against evil sword cultivators to maintain justice in their hearts. The most representative of them is Haoran sword sect, one of the vassal sword cultivators of the ancient clan. You can tell the style of this sword cultivator sect by listening to the name. They do not put improving strength first, concentrate on being enemies with evil sword cultivators, do not intrigue with other sword cultivators, and do not compete for Ginjin mines. The result of doing so is that the sect is very poor, so poor that even the sect plaque is decayed. Haoran sword sect is located on a high mountain. There are rules for recruiting new disciples. Talent ranks third, perseverance ranks second, and character ranks first. Although Haoran sword sect is a little poor, it protects the surrounding mortal villages and cities very well, and there is a thriving scene everywhere. Mortal children are also carefully taught by the older generation, and they have cultivated a chivalrous sword heart since childhood. Their dream is to become a member of Haoran sword sect, eliminate demons, and defend the way, and protect the peace of heaven and earth. Haoran sword sect recruits new disciples under the requirement of being under 30 years old, which is very lenient. As long as you can climb up from the bottom and climb to the Haoran sword sect with a sincere heart, you can become a registered disciple. Today is the annual assessment for new disciples. All those who want to become members of Haoran sword sect are working hard to climb higher. There are 100,000 steps in total, and the time limit is 5 hours. At the waist, a handsome young man walked briskly, without any embarrassment of exhaustion after climbing 50,000 steps. The young man was one of the 10 people walking at the forefront, leaving the people behind him far behind. Brother, you have a good physique. You should also be a casual cultivator whose cultivation level is suppressed by the red heart ladder, right? A skinny boy approached the young man. The young man came to Haoran sword sect to practice the ancient sword cultivation method, self-proclaimed cultivation, and started the path of sword cultivation from scratch. Gu Gan chuckled, it's barely true. I heard that the sword cultivators of Haoran sword sect all have the demeanor of chivalrous men, which is in line with Gu's values. Gu is also a promising young man who is willing to sacrifice himself for justice. The skinny boy didn't think much about it. At his level, he didn't know what the surname Gu represented, not to mention him. Even if the ancestor of Haoran sword sect stood in front of Gu Gan, he couldn't tell that this young man was the leader of the Gu clan. Hearing what Gu Gan said, the skinny boy immediately became excited and told Gu Gan about the righteousness of Haoran sword sect, how great it was. Gu Gan responded with a smile. After passing the test, Gu Gan successfully became a registered disciple of Haoran sword sect. To say that Haoran sword sect is really poor, it only issues 3 immortal yuan stones every month, and even the core disciples only get 1,000 a month. You know, even the most remote branch of the ancient clan can't have less than 50,000 immortal stones per month. What a shame for the ancient clan. Gu Gan cursed in his heart. With the comprehensive strength of Haoran sword sect, it is naturally not so miserable, but if they don't fight for the Ginjin mine, their own Ginjin mine will be occupied. As a result, the ruler of Haoran sword sect seems to have practiced swordsmanship, and he only wants to eliminate the evil sword cultivators and protect the peace of heaven and earth. You can't even eat enough, but you still care about other people's lives. You are just meddling in other people's business. I have to admit that the cultivation atmosphere of Haoran sword sect is very good. The senior brothers and sisters always treat people with a smile, and they will explain in detail any questions about sword practice. Soon, half a month passed. Gu Gan successfully cultivated the sword energy. Gu Gan took the suppressed killing aura and the devilish Sang Biao and displayed the Cangming sword energy. The sword energy swept, like the vast sky and the sea. Even if he was only at the first level of sword energy, it was enough to foresee the future opening of the sky. Because the cultivation atmosphere of Haoran sword sect was so good, Gu Gan was still thinking about pretending to be cool and slapping faces like the protagonist in the fantasy novels, and getting the beauty back. Alas, novels are novels after all. There are not so many pretending to be cool and slapping faces. For example, the beautiful senior sister and junior sister fell in love with him, but were humiliated by the licking dog villain, and then pretended to be cool and slapped faces, and got the beauty back, which is impossible in Haoran sword sect. They are all gentlemen. Even if there are hypocrites among them, they are better than real villains. Gu Gan performed well. After only half a month of cultivating sword energy, he was directly promoted to an outer disciple and got the opportunity to go out on missions. Most of the missions in the Haoran sword sect's mission hall are related to evil sword cultivators. It is mainly for disciples with low cultivation to collect intelligence, and after reporting it back to the sect, the brothers and sisters with high cultivation will kill the enemy. The mission assigned to Gu Gan is actually mainly to take Gu Gan out to meet the sect. The sect wants to focus on cultivating Gu Gan. Alas, you are so righteous, how can I give you the evil sword pill? No destruction, no construction, destruction and then construction. I think the evil sword cultivation alliance regards your Haoran sword sect as a thorn in the eye and a thorn in the flesh. Let them change everything. It is also just right to experience life and death battles, so that the sword cultivation can be rapidly improved. To be continued. P.S. The following plot is relatively plain, but not boring. Haoran sword sect is a very important foreshadowing, which is the beginning of cultivating the evil forces of Sanqian Daozhou, and helps the protagonist deal with some things that are inconvenient for him to do. Window, _tabola equals window, _tabola, _tabola.push, mode, thumbs, feed, 01, container, tabola, below, article, thumbnail, 300x250, placement, below article thumbnail, 300 by 250, target _type, mix. Chapter 90. Dare to bully my younger brother of the ancient clan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the flying sword that was magnified dozens of times, a female sword cultivator at the front was the captain of this mission. The female sword cultivator named Xueli is a veteran disciple of the Haoran sword sect. She is beautiful and charming, and although her talent is not as good as that of a son of luck, she is definitely a genius in swordsmanship. Her Taoist companion is an elder of the Haoran sword sect. Although he is older, his talent is equally good. He has only been in the Yenshu realm for only 200 years and is already at a high level. The mission this time was very simple. A weapon refining shop of the Haoran sword sect in Yuehuang market was destroyed, and it was the evil sword cultivator who did it. When he first heard the news, Gan smelled an unusual smell. It would be understandable if someone from the Haoran sword sect was killed by an evil sword cultivator in a place where non-practitioners gathered, but now, in a place like the market, he actually doesn't pay attention to Haoran sword sect's property and people at all, or, don't take the people seriously. Why do you say that the Haoran sword sect is a vassal force of the clan? If the evil sword cultivator behaves so boldly, aren't you afraid that this matter will have a great impact and be wiped out by the clan? It seems that there must be some kind of conspiracy that I don't know yet. Maybe it is against the clan, but such trivial matters are not taken lightly by Gan. Xueli looked at the ruined weapon refining shop. His original gentleness disappeared, and his beautiful eyes were filled with murderous intent. The Haoran sword sect is indeed a righteous sword bearer, but it does not mean that there is no blood in their hearts. On the contrary, the sword cultivators of the Haoran sword sect have experienced the most battles, and most of them were life and death battles with evil sword cultivators. Their individual strength is stronger than the sword cultivators of other sword cultivators. This is the reason why Qian decided to fuse the 29 evil swords with them. As the saying goes, you are not afraid of righteousness turning bad, but you are afraid of righteousness turning evil. But now that the evil sword is taken out and let them fuse, they will definitely rather die than obey, so they must be allowed to take the initiative to fall. The most important thing about this trip is actually for my own practice. TSK, Haoran sword sect was already poor, and now it's even worse. I heard that the tribe has gained a lot in that foreign continent this time. They are willing to lower their arrogant sword repairers' heads and go to the tribe to ask for some resources. It is estimated that a little bit from the cracks of S fingers will be enough to buy them. This is the market. By the way, how could the evil sword cultivator be so bold this time and openly launch an attack in the market? Are you preparing for a big operation? You are overthinking. If there is really a big move, the ones who attack will not be the poorest shop of Haoran sword sect. This is a typical revenge of Haoran sword sect. Who makes them regard evil sword cultivators as their prey day by day? Now, what bad luck. Xueli ignored the teasing around him and collected information in an orderly manner. This matter will definitely not stop. The Haoran sword sect has always taken revenge against evil sword cultivators. After collecting all the clues, Xueli took to Qian and others around the Yuehuang market, and then set off on the way back. There is the light of lapis lazuli in the Dry eyes. Use the Xiaming eye to see. As expected, all the disciples of the Haoran sword sect on the flying sword, including Xueli, died. I'm getting more and more courageous. But I'm very curious. Who gave you the courage to attack the younger brother of the clan? that on the way back to Haoran sword sect, Xueli noticed something wrong. As a practitioner, her instinct told her that danger would come. As expected, several black shadows appeared in front of them. Jia, Xueli, long time no see. The sword you struck me with last time is still hurting now. That a man with a strong evil aura, holding a long sword filled with blood energy, came straight to Xueli. Feeling his aura, he knew that he was an evil sword cultivator. Stop talking nonsense and fight quickly. Another evil sword nun shouted softly, and an evil sword flew out of Zifu, exuding evil sword intent. Seeing this scene, Xueli's heart suddenly sank. Inner sword evil sword. Sword cultivation is the inner sword lineage and the sword lineage. The inner sword lineage is undoubtedly stronger. At the same level of cultivation, one inner sword cultivator can easily deal with 3 or 4 sword cultivators, and the other party's cultivation level has reached the 4th level of world shaping, so there is no possibility of winning. In an instant, Xueli made a decision. Junior brother Wang, take them away. We have asked the sect for help and try to survive. Come and hold them back. Xueli's voice was cold and decisive, and he was ready to sacrifice. Seeing Xueli's performance, Qian became more and more satisfied. Transform such a sword cultivator into an evil sword cultivator without worrying about betrayal. Looks like the opportunity to show off is here.